I think I have a nibble.
It's probably the most instantly recognizable TV show in the world. But is there something more sinister going on with The Simpsons? We've all heard about the uncanny way that the show has accurately predicted the future. But is this more than just a coincidence? Could higher powers be at play here? Could The Simpsons be slowly releasing information to the public consciousness to keep the masses under control?
Wait a minute.
Spoiler alert, of course not. So take off your tinfoil hat and let us walk you through some of the more impressive predictions from The Simpsons that have come true, and offer up some explanation as to how they might have come about. Of course, we could just be part of the conspiracy, couldn't we? I mean, if they could control one of the most successful TV shows of all time, they could certainly control our little, but excellent, YouTube channel.
Are we worried this group is crossing into the conspiracy theory zone?
Okay, enough of that nonsense. Let's take a look at some of The Simpsons' best predictions. Sending normal citizens into space. Way back in 1994, during the 5th season of The Simpsons, they wrote an episode called Deep Space Homer, in which NASA, in a desperate attempt to attract more interest from the general public, decided to send an average citizen into space. Homer and Barney battled it out to earn their place in the spaceship. Homer lost, but still ended up going into space with special guest star Buzz Aldrin. It's classic Simpsons, and generally regarded as being up there as one of the best episodes ever. Fast forward 19 years to 2013, and the deodorant brand Lynx held a competition to send an average Joe into space. A competition won by Oliver Knight from Britain. Proof that The Simpsons can predict the future, right? Well, no. In the 80s, NASA announced their Teacher in Space project, which attempted to attract more interest from the general public by sending an average citizen into space. The project was canceled in 1990, so never became particularly well known, but Simpsons showrunner David Merkin picked up on it and used it as the basis for this episode. So, not quite predicting the future, more just reflecting the past and adding in an inanimate carbon rod.
Stupid rod.
Horse meat scandal. Let's stay in 1994 for our next prediction, and add another classic episode, Sweet Seymour Skinner's badass song. This really was the golden age for The Simpsons, wasn't it? This is the one in which Principal Skinner gets fired.
You're fired.
And Bart feels guilty about it. But before then, we get a little glimpse at Lunch Lady Doris preparing some delicious food for the kids, using a giant vat with the inscription, assorted horse parts, now with more testicles. Delicious. 19 years later, Europe is rocked by the revelation that meat from horses was frequently used in place of beef. In some cases, 100% horse meat. Although, we are not entirely sure whether that included more testicles. So, was this an incredible prediction from The Simpsons? No. Horse meat has always been seen as a cheap alternative to beef in the US. Popularity rose during World War II and again in the 70s when the price of beef rose dramatically. The Navy had been forced to stop using horse meat as late as the 80s. Horse meat was just a byword for doing things on the cheap. So, rather than an incredible prediction, this was just a good joke at the expense of the way American schools are funded.
There's very little meat in these gym mats.
Disney buys Fox. To 1998 now. And in the episode When You Dish Upon a Star, in season 10, Homer makes some friends from Hollywood, Alec Baldwin, Kim Basinger, and Ron Howard. Right near the end of the episode, we get to see Howard pitching Homer's screenplay idea about a killer robot driving instructor that travels back in time for some reason, to some executives at 210th Century Fox. In the brief shot of outside the Fox studios, we see a division of Walt Disney Co. written below the Fox sign. Nearly 21 years later, Disney purchased Fox, and with it, all the rights to The Simpsons. Did the Simpsons writers get wind of this deal more than 20 years before it happened? No, of course not. It is, again, just a joke. This time about the aggressive way American corporations gobble up other businesses and a little dig at Fox, which has been a constant throughout the show's long run. But when you're the most successful TV show around, you are allowed to make a few digs at your boss's expense.
You are watching Fox.
We are watching Fox.
NSA Spying Scandal. Now, let's take a look at the Simpsons movie from 2007. Here, the Simpson family find themselves on the run, having escaped the Environmental Protection Agency's biodome that has been built around Springfield to prevent the town's pollution problem. Tipped over the edge by feces from Homer's pig. From spreading. If you haven't seen the film, that all makes perfect logical sense. Trust us. Anyway, while on the run, Marge is tracked down by the NSA because they are listening in to her phone calls. 6 years later, Edward Snowden blew the whistle on the NSA doing precisely that. Well, anyone's phone and internet, not just Marge's. In a scandal that rocked the very foundations of the USA. Did the Simpsons know about this? Well, kind of. Stories of the NSA listening into people's phone calls had been around for a couple of years before the movie came out, even though it wasn't really taken that seriously and nothing could be proven. But that's the beauty of writing a comedy show. You can take things that might be true and make a joke about it.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Democracy simply doesn't work.
President Trump. Okay, this one does seem a little more eerie at face value. And this is probably the most famous of all the Simpsons predictions. In the episode Bart to the Future from season 11, first aired in the year 2000, Lisa has become the president of the USA. It's not an easy gig though, as Lisa explains that her administration is inheriting quite a budget crunch from President Trump. Yep, President Trump. A full 16 years before he was elected. How could they have known? It's not like he was a political heavyweight at the time. He was seen as a joke figure that could never be taken seriously, but that ended up not holding him back. Unfortunately, the truth is a little more boring. Trump had often hinted at having a run at being president and dabbled in politics in the 1980s. He had even had a little run for president in the run up to the 2000 election, but it didn't really go anywhere. As writer Dan Greeny said in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter in 2016, it was more of a warning than anything else. It was pitched because it was consistent with the vision of America going insane. Plus, Trump is a funny name. It's perfect for most jokes. Higgs boson, the God particle. Okay, let's finish this list of Simpsons conspiracies with the one that seems the most incredible. The most insanely accurate prediction that was just shoved into the background of an episode. Not even a joke really, just there. And it is pretty close to predicting the mass of a particle that hadn't even been discovered at the time. Let us explain. In the episode, The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, first broadcast in 1998, Homer becomes an inventor. We get to see him at work, and on his blackboard, there is an equation. Now, maths and physics aren't really our strong point on this channel. So, we'll refer you to Simon Singh, a physicist that has written a book on the mathematics secrets in The Simpsons. Talking about Homer's equation, he told The Independent, if you work it out, you get the mass of a Higgs boson that's only a bit larger than the nanomass of what a Higgs boson actually is. It's kind of amazing as Homer makes this prediction 14 years before it was discovered. So, how on earth did this incredibly complicated equation end up on Homer's blackboard? This is too weird to be a coincidence, right? This isn't just a silly joke. This is incredibly complex physics. What's it doing there? As with most things, there is a pretty reasonable, and therefore disappointing, explanation. David X. Cohen, one of the writers in The Simpsons, studied physics at Harvard. When they were writing the episode, he got in touch with some professors at MIT to see if they could provide him with complex formulas to use on the show. And this is what they gave him. And while it is close to being correct, it's not.
Yep, there's your answer, Fishbulb.
Well, it was a good ride while it lasted.
So, The Simpsons can't predict the future? The Simpsons has got a load of stuff right over the years, but they aren't predicting the future. Sorry. If you are after a video that tries to spin all of this as some kind of major conspiracy, I have good news and bad news. The good news is that there are millions of them out there. The bad news is that they're all wrong. The simplest explanation for all of these predictions, and let's be clear on that, they are not intended to be predictions, they are jokes, is twofold. One, The Simpsons has been going for over 30 years with hundreds of episodes, some of which are even set in the future. They make so many jokes referring to the real world that they are going to get a lot of stuff right and a lot wrong. It's just a numbers game. But the other factor is that The Simpsons is written by some very clever people who know about a lot of different stuff. Add in that the show's love of adding in throwaway and background jokes, and you're gonna get loads of opportunities to predict the future. It's a huge part of what has made it so popular with so many people. It's what makes it great. And that is the true story behind The Simpsons conspiracy. Or at least that's what we've been told to tell you.
Everyone takes the same oath. Welcome to the club number 908. You have joined the sacred order of the Stonecutters, who since ancient times have split the rocks of ignorance that obscure the light of knowledge and truth. Now let's all get drunk and play ping pong.